I'm Rob Olsen. Well, I graduated from Fruitport High School, and that's where I met Bill. From there, I went to Michigan State University. Graduated from there with a degree in general business administration. My first job right out of college was in the management training program for Kmart Corporation, and part of their training was to move you from store to store in different cities, so you operate in a different section of the store to eventually learn the operation of an entire store. So I did that for a year and a half in 3 different cities in a year and a half, and then my last place was Alpena, and that's when I left there. That's when I came to work for Bill. After I got married, I was building my house, and it was kind of on the side of a hill, so I had to put in some retaining walls, and I was working on a Saturday, and I didn't know that he was going to show up, but Bill showed up that Saturday morning and helped me dig the trench for the walls that we were putting in by hand with a shovel. It probably took the two of us 5 or 6 hours of just digging with a shovel to make a trench to insert the walls before we could attach them. But I didn't ask him to come over. I wasn't expecting him to come over. He knew that I was doing that day. He knew that it was a tough job, and he just showed up to help me out. And we were good friends, and he helped me out in a lot of ways, and we did things for each other. So I wasn't surprised by it, but that's the kind of things that he would do. I've been working at the same place now for almost 25 years, and I don't know where I'd be if Bill hadn't brought me into that company. I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew nothing about printing, and almost 25 years later, now I own a part of the company, and we're still there, still operating successful, and I owe a lot of that to Bill. He brought me in, not only offering me a job, but a lot of the stuff that I do today are things that he was doing back when I first started there. Things that we do marketing-wise, I learned from him. Lots of things that I do every day, probably don't even think about it, were things that he did in the early days at the print shop that I just picked up from being there. And I've been, I think, pretty successful in this business, and it's still going today, and Bill was a big part of that. He not only started the company, but worked with me for 10 years and established the base. I just had to keep it going, and I owe a lot of that to Bill. We had an employee who went to jail for a time, and Bill worked to wrote letters and put in good word for the guy, and I think got him out a little sooner than he might have. It wasn't a serious thing, and held his job while he was gone. Kept it open for him, and just it was a guy who had some troubles in his life, and Bill kept giving him chances, and kept his position there, and just kind of went a little above and beyond what you normally do for somebody. And when I started, it was, like I said, he was only 6 months into it, so it was pretty small. I mean, our sales were, I can remember sometimes adding them up for the month and having $6,000 in sales for the whole month. And that was just at the beginning. So one thing that Bill was really adamant about and very good at was marketing, and he was constantly coming up with ways of getting our name out in public and clever things to get attention, and We tried all kinds of stuff. He always had ideas, and we did a lot of different things, and a lot of them worked really well. I mean, we went from nothing to being easily the most recognizable print shop in Muskegon. I mean, if you were to stop people on the street and say, "Can you name a printing company in Muskegon?" I think most people would have known Billy the Printer, and it's a memorable name. And as things improved and we grew, we were in Fruitport. We decided to open a shop in Muskegon, and we also opened one in Grand Haven. So we still did all the work in Fruitport, and then we shuttled work back and forth to the other shops. In the early days of the print shop, that was an old brick building out in Fruitport, and it had 2 levels, and we had the print shop on the bottom, and then on the upper level was his office, and it was right in front, facing the main drag. So if you drove past that building at any time, you could see him in the window because his desk was right there, and especially at night there'd be a light on up there. And me and Bill were friends away from work, and our group of friends, we do stuff, and a lot of times, where's Bill? We drive by there on a Friday night or something, and sure enough, there he is in the window, and we'd have to drag him out of there sometimes to go have fun. And the building also, he had a shower there, he kept clothes there, I mean, he kept food there. He'd work around the clock sometimes if there was a huge project or something going on. And back in those days, our other friends were always on his case about, man, you're working too many hours, you gotta get out, have some fun, do something. But he still did that, he still got out, but he really put in the time, and he had to in those days. I mean, we were starting from nothing, and he had to learn the printing business. He had to figure out how to get customers in there. He had to deal with everything, every phase of the business. He wanted to have a successful business for himself, but also, he wanted to grow and be able to offer jobs to people. And he was more than willing to put in the work. Words I'd use to describe him would be a bundle of energy. He is always thinking, always talking. He's got opinions and ideas on pretty much any subject that you can think of. He's very outgoing, great sense of humor, but he's an Energizer bunny. He's constantly jumping around. He's got so many things that he's thinking about and things that he wants to do, and he's got great ideas about just about anything you can mention, and he's hard to keep up with, but you get used to him. All the employees that we had over the years, Bill always got to know them all really well, and was really concerned with their life, and how things were going for him. A lot of the employees we had were young kids at times, just getting started in life, and he was always one to offer advice and try and steer them in the right direction. Often we got approached by employees, I need help with this, I need a loan for that, those types of things. There's always, if it was something that we could do, that he could do personally, or the company could do for him, he was always willing to do that. Things that I don't think most companies would do.